You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Love Atia. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atia, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Love Atia experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Love Atia experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Love Atia Experience podcast. Not me glowing, not my hair and my skin flourishing. Yes, shout outs to Ethereal by Love Atia, which is my hair and skincare company. It is vegan and cruelty-free, and y'all, I hand make each product, okay? I have an array of products to help you love yourself, from my ethereal hair growth oil to my Razul clay and turmeric face mask and hair mask. Oh my gosh, I have my revitalizing cleanser and glow enhancer and my rose water hydrating love mist. The list goes on and on. I created this company to help you love yourself a whole lot more, and to help enhance your self-care routine, because in this life, we are not really told that we must take care of ourselves first. We are often told we have to put other people before ourselves and our self-care. So I'm here to reverse that curse and help you fall in love with your life again. So you can head to Ethereal by Love Atia if you love vegan and cruelty-free hair and skincare products, and if you love yourself. So head to loveatia.com and shop today for all of your self-care essentials. I love you so much, and I hope that you enjoy this amazing episode. Oh my God, I am creaming and screaming. Hello, beautiful souls. I have missed recording so much. If you know me, you know that it's your girl, Love Atia. And if you don't know me, then hello, welcome. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do with myself. My toe is cramping with joy. I want to start this with some good shit. So the good shit that we're going to start with is I actually just ended my very first class in sex tech school. I cannot wait to share with y'all my experience. My heart is so full. I'm so excited. We are about to revolutionize the world of all things sexual liberation, and I cannot wait to tell y'all about this journey. You might be wondering what that even is. I'll dive into that and a whole bunch more in this episode. Now, this is going to be a free-for-all episode because I've tried to do the outlines. I've tried to, be everything that I thought other people wanted me to be. And then I realized, fuck that shit, right? Like, just fuck that shit. So today I'm being me, per usual. I'm always me in my episodes, but that's why we're doing audio only. So this will not have a video on YouTube. You can listen to it on YouTube, but yeah, we're doing audio only today. Because I want to, and that's okay. Like, I just wanted this podcast to be a safe space for myself, and I feel like your girl started conforming a little bit, so there we have it. Now, if you know this podcast, you know that we usually have some type of technical difficulty at some point while trying to record. Today's technical difficulty is brought to you by Rode microphones. Anyways, long story short, now I'm asking to speak to corporate from Rode microphones, and the only power I feel like I have is blowing up their spot on here. So, go to rodemicrophones.com or go to their Instagram and say hashtag give Atia some free shit because you've been torturing her. Yeah, and tag me. What else? What good shit has been going on? I went to Las Vegas in the beginning of the year, and I took a pole class there, which was amazing. I had a male instructor. He was fabulous. And I felt really sexy because I finally got my heels, which was amazing. I know I keep saying amazing, but it was. And then I went to the CES conference, which is a tech conference. in Vegas that happens every year. And y'all, there were over 200,000 people there. I think I want to do a separate episode on CES, but this is really just the episode just to catch y'all up on every single thing. So we're going to touch on stuff here and there. And I'm like, how much do I want to tell y'all? But let's just go over the things I want to talk about, and then we'll pick and choose which stories we dive into. Let me look at my list. Okay, so, oh yeah, then I came home from Vegas and got a concussion. I think it was a concussion, or at least it was a mild concussion. It's not funny. Like, I laughed about it because I made it through, but that shit was scary. And then I had to pay $300 to get a CAT scan and to go to the doctor. Now, I will say, though, that if I was in the States, this probably would have cost me upward to almost $3,000, considering I would have had to schedule a doctor's visit to get a checkup. I would have had to go to the hospital, get the CAT scan, get the doctor to look over the results. So although $300 feels like a lot of money to me right now, considering my bank account, I was really proud of myself because I didn't let finances stop me from taking care of myself, which is something that I really did struggle with in the past. Oh my God. Speaking of taking care of myself, y'all, I had my very first OBGYN appointment, and we are definitely going to talk about that in this episode because that is very important to me. I have, then my dad came to visit me in Mexico, which was the best. Oh my gosh. He was my first official visitor, because although we've had people come to visit me and my mom in the past, this is the first person who came to visit me specifically. So I was really grateful for that and stayed with me. So that was really, really cool. And I felt really proud of myself to be able to say yeah, I haven't had anybody else in my house besides maintenance men and I don't know. Back when I lived in Atlanta, I had a lot of fucking people coming out of my house, especially men that came to fuck me. So I was really grateful that the only male energy that I had in my house this time around in Mexico was my dad, and it was just such a beautiful trip, and that is something that I cannot wait to dive into. But I do want to talk about the craziest thing that happened before he came, and I think that this is a sign for growth. And this morning, I actually had a little bit of a panic attack kind of thing. It wasn't really a panic attack because I was actually really excited about school. So I think it was an adrenaline rush mixed with anxiety. And the anxiety was my bank account, me feeling like I'm not progressing fast enough, me feeling like I'm being censored and shadow banned, which has been a story for a long time, and you can only live in your story for but so long before you make changes to either your mindset or to your reality. So the thing that gave me hope this morning was I decided to force myself to do my morning routine, right? I woke up and checked my emails, which I shouldn't do, but I did. And then I was like, all right, get back to your routine. So I wrote out all of my fears, because in therapy, we talked about creating a new routine for myself, a new morning routine, because that's what my gut had told me to do when we were doing some inner work. And also, by the way, I treated myself to a therapy session because I freaking deserve it. And once again, like I said, I did not want to get in the pattern of putting my mental health and my health in the back burner or waiting until I spiraled. I felt like I was about to spiral, and there were so many other things that were happening. I had the most social month in February of my entire fucking life that I was like, all right, it was a beautiful month, but it was a lot. And I didn't really have a lot of time to be able to pour back into myself. So anyways, I had therapy, and we talked about me creating a new morning routine. So part of that morning routine includes reading an oracle card for myself, pulling one for myself, writing, brushing my teeth, and pulling with coconut oil, and then stretching or doing a walk or something like that. And I took a 1-week hiatus in a way, which I'll talk about in a second, but I realized I hadn't really gone outside for real this whole week. So except when I was shaking my ass, which I'm sure y'all saw videos on Instagram, but I decided that it was time for me to take a walk. So I walked my trash, which was really helpful to the trash area, and I got some fresh air. But while I was leaving, for the last maybe couple of months, I had been leaving my house, and there had been either a little baby butterfly or a moth on my door, or it'd be flying around my door, or I'd see a wing by my door. It was just always signs of just transformation and safety and ancestors having my back. So right before my dad came, I was chilling in my house, and if you know me, you know that I very much so have like insect radar, right? I didn't realize how good my vision was until I went to the eye doctor, and they're basically like, why are you here? They're literally like, why are you here? Like, you don't need glasses. And I do. But I think that what happened was, maybe it's because I'm a Virgo, but I felt like my eyesight wasn't what it was supposed to be. Now, who really knows what their eyesight is, what's supposed to be like? Who knows what? Like, I'm not a fucking cat. I'm not going to have optimal eyesight where I can see through walls and shit. My cat literally will stare through walls. But, like, I just felt like I should be seeing clearer than I was, right? And it's true. But you know what's crazy? Living in Atlanta, I definitely wore my glasses way more than I did living here. I only wear my glasses now when I'm on my computer and I have light sensitivity. But when I was in Atlanta, I literally felt like I had to wear my glasses all the time, especially when I was driving because I could not see signs. I'm just saying, it's a conspiracy. So I ended up, what did I start this off with? I started off talking about why I wear glasses. No, God help me. Oh, the caterpillar. So I can see insects. So I was sitting on my in my living room, and I have this big window there. So I like to bird watch. But why am I doing work on my computer, and out of the corner of my eye, I spy a little green inching thing. Now, when I say little, you might be thinking like the inchworms that we be seeing in New York that fly from the sky and they're butterfly in the sky. Like, you might think it's one of those, but no. This baby was thick and long. And once again, when you think of a thick and long caterpillar, you might not see what I saw. But in my definition of thick and long, in caterpillar terminology, it was thick and long. But not as thick. It was kind of skinny. Okay, anyways. So, but it was like, okay, I want to say a little bit shorter than my pinky and a little bit skinnier than my pinky and like green. But it was also transparent, so I could kind of see through it. So I ended, at first, I was fucked up and I was freaked out because what? I don't live on the first floor. So for the caterpillar to have been on my level, I'm like, you did a lot, homie, to get here. Like, what's up? So I told my mom, and I remember, like, it's so funny because when I first told her, I expected her to have like a specific reaction. And then I was like, oh, like, my bad. Like, I'm sorry for like judging your reaction, because I realized I was judging her reaction. And she was like, well, like sometimes when your energy is super high, especially regarding like things with like caterpillars and stuff like that, I just want to neutralize it, and just be supportive. So, because she was like, well, what reaction did you expect me to have? And I was like, I thought you were going to be like, what? Like, I don't know. And then I felt kind of stupid after I said it. She didn't make me feel stupid, but I just felt stupid. Or just silly, because like, how can I expect somebody to have a specific kind of reaction to something? But anyways, she was like, no, I just wanted to, just be supportive and, know if you wanted me to come remove it and put it downstairs or whatever. And I was like, well, thanks for that. Thanks for giving me that option. But I actually think that I'm kind of fascinated, so I'm going to let him stay. And so I named him Norman. I actually don't know if he was a guy or a girl. I probably should have done a gender inclusive name, or an ambiguous name, but Norman it is, because my grandma's name is Norma, and I just felt like, maybe she was sending me a sign through one of her caterpillar babies. So, because, I do believe that my grandmas show up as caterpillars and as dragonflies, although usually I more so equate my grandma Cooker to, I call her Grandma Cooker, but my grandma Cooker to butterflies and my grandma Norma to dragonflies. Honestly, I feel like an ancestor is an ancestor, and they show up in all kinds of ways. So there's that. But, and I don't think that their ego cares to where they're like, oh, I'm the one that visited you and you said like the wrong ancestor visited you. I don't know. So yeah, Norman lived on my terrace, right? And so that was fine. Like, I had never went outside ever again, but I did. And if you listen back to a couple of my old episodes, I had like a whole half a segment on my fear of caterpillars. So this was really big for me to like coexist with Norman. And he actually, though, took it a step further and said, oh, okay, so you're fine with me being on the outside? Let me come in between the mesh and the glass, right? So on one side of my balcony, I have just pure glass. And then the other side, I have pure glass, but then I also have mesh. So if I want to open my balcony, I can get air in with the mesh just being closed. So I don't let like lizards in or stuff like that, which I did let a lizard in the other day. We'll get to that story too. So ended up, like sneaking, not sneaking because it's his terrace, but like going in between the glass and the mesh, y'all. So I really couldn't open my fucking terrace then, because then he would be susceptible to coming in my house. So Norman lived there for about, I want to say, maybe a week and a half. And I thought that Norman was trying to make a cocoon, because he kept inching up towards the top. Like, well, first I thought he was trying to go to the like highest floor. But then he would be on my balcony every day, literally. And I figured maybe he came in between the mesh because he was trying to protect himself from like critters and stuff like that trying to eat him. But anyways, long story short, Norman ended up passing away. It was really sad. And I don't really know what happened. Like, he was excreting the stuff on my window. And then at one point he was excreting kind of like fuzzy stuff, like almost like silk, it looked like. But yeah, he ended up not making it, and then his arms were just kind of like stuck on my glass, and then we had this like really big windstorm, so the windstorm blew his carcass away. It was a lot, y'all. It was a lot. It was a little bit traumatic. I really felt bad for him, but I figured he was there for a lesson. So the lesson in all of this, I say all this to say that I realized Norman was a sign that if you rush your growth, you can come to your transformation before being ready, right? And then that can deteriorate you and turn you into caterpillar soup. But also, I think that when you're scared to reach your fullest potential, you can kind of wither away, you know? Like, maybe he was trying to cocoon, but he didn't feel like he was ready, so he kind of perished before he could commit to cocooning. I don't really know how it works when it comes to caterpillars and moths and all that good stuff, so who knows? But that was a metaphor I got from it. And even when I went back outside finally and looked on a leaf, I saw that there was like a casing. And the casing, I took a picture of it. I'll post it on TikTok and Instagram or something. But it didn't necessarily look like it was a cocoon. It almost looked like it's how Norman was born. But Norman was like a full-fledged worm. So I don't really know. But my point is that it seemed like maybe he emerged from this cocoon too early, or maybe he felt like he had to get some stuff out before, maybe he was excreting all these things before he could reach his highest potential. Something happened within the determination of his growth, and it stopped him from being able to transform to be a butterfly or a moth. So this is your sign that if you're not growing at the pace that you feel like you want to be growing at, the universe actually has the most divine timing of it all. The greatest time of all. I know I'm no Whitney Houston, but I am close to Beyonce. All right, anyways, moving on. I have to tell y'all about how I ended my limerence. And this will then lead to all of the beautiful fucking friendships that I have made since I have been in Mexico. I didn't even know that this was possible. I would say that I don't even know how this was manifested, but I actually do. Because if you remember a couple of episodes back, I told y'all that my heart was open to new friendships after maybe being here for like 7 months. And I wrote out a list of all of the kind of friendships that I wanted to incorporate in my life. And I literally got that. So all I'm saying is manifestation is fucking real. But first, let's talk about how my crush, anyways, I don't even know how much information to give. I'm going to give the tea on Patreon. I have a free tier on Patreon, by the way, and I feel like that's not being utilized as much as I want. I mean, of course, I want the paid Patreon to be hella utilized, because that is how you can support my channel. You can also support my channel by like cash apping me, $, I love Atia, because you love me. I don't know, you can send me money for like a tea or a smoothie or something, because you just want to support me. But anyways, on my Patreon, I will be posting my sex education content, and I think I'm going to be using TikTok as like a just virtual diary of just like thoughts that I'd be randomly having, but that censored thoughts, because the uncensored thoughts do go on Patreon, because once again, like, they don't censor me, so everybody can see them. So that's what I love. Like, I love that when I post on Patreon, it tells you that I posted, it lets you know that like this is meant for you to see, you know, as opposed to TikTok, it's just like, oh, well, whoever the fuck sees it, and you kind of leave it up to fate, and I don't like that so much. So Shout outs to the people who have subscribed to my Patreon. It truly means the entire world to me. Like, I cannot wait for us to be able to celebrate together. I have some events coming up that I'm super excited about. My virtual sleepover, which is like something that I've been dreaming about doing for a really long time. So yeah, there's that. But what was I gonna say? By the way, the technical difficulty earlier was that my AC wasn't working. Like, it wouldn't stop, it wouldn't turn off. So there was this like random hum happening in my room where I normally record. So you would hear that on the audio, and that was the technical difficulty of this podcast. All right. Not to bring that to every podcast though, because I think that some episodes do go smooth, but I like transparency. Back to my crush. So I'm gonna give y'all the piping hot tea on Patreon. But I will just say that I did tell y'all that my crush told me that they were in a relationship. But I found out that relationship transpired to be something completely else. And it was not devastating, but it was partially devastating. Like, partially fucking devastating. How much of this, like, I'm trying to figure out how much to disclose to y'all, because like, what I can say it's really fucking embarrassing. I really want to go to the DM, because the other day I told my friend, like, yeah, I was thinking about hitting him up. And so I read to her the DMs that have transpired since I first met him, right? And she's so sweet. She's my twin, right? She's so sweet. She was like, I read her one DM that was like 3 paragraphs, and she was like, wow, you're so confident. I love that about you. I was like, bitch, confident is not the word. It's slow. I'm so slow. Now, this isn't me shitting on people that may have like learning disabilities. I don't consider that to be slow. I think that if you have a learning disability, you have a learning disability. What I consider slow is bad decision making. I had a moment of bad decision making where I literally left my body. I was more so in my emotions, in my emotional orbic field, and then fucking sent this novel to this man. Anyways, it was very clear to see that, like, I did make up stories in my head in regards to, like, what I read into in the conversation. I think I told y'all at one point he had called me by my nickname, and I was like, mind you, everybody calls me by my nickname. Like, it's not that big of a thing, but maybe it's because he spelled it correctly. Like, he spelled it with a Y, and normally people don't spell my name correctly. I don't know. Anyways, the development that I learned first, I thought that I have to say this on Patreon, because if he listens to this episode, I'm going to sound insane. And I don't really know if it's that deep that he's going to go to my Patreon. So if you want to hear the tea, I'll probably post it for like the first 3 tiers. I don't even know if I can post it for the free tier, because then he can still see it. But anyways, we'll play it by ear. You can go check it out and see if it's there. But I say all that to say that this epiphany that I had about him and this revelation that I learned about him, I had to abort mission. So, I've talked to a lot of friends about this person before. But normally, like, the weird energy that I would get from my friends around this, I don't think that they peep this, because I don't know why, but they became like really negative. Now, one of these friends I think had a lesbian crush on me, so it would kind of make sense why she was like not here for it. The other friend, I don't really know, but whenever I bring up his name, they would just be so negative and be like, oh, like, get over him, like, you could do better, blah, blah, blah. And like, I guess some of them were trying to like uplift me in a way and say, like, it's not worth it to have this limerence regarding him. And we talked about limerence in another episode. We talked about it in the episode with Nadine too, but it wasn't fair to me to have this limerence surrounding him, because I was really torturing myself. But yeah, like the first time I tortured myself, and I hurt my own feelings, but then I learned that, like, oh no, revert, like, no, actually, I'm not hurting my own feelings. This thing that I thought was a thing wasn't a thing, thank God. But then that ended up me going down a rabbit hole, and then me discovering something else, which then was like, oh no, this really is a thing. This thing is actually worse. It's not worse, but this thing is more intense than the other thing that I thought was a thing. Anyways, it was just eye-opening, and it definitely was pushing me towards trying to get my shit together with this situation, because, like, crushes are cool, but to have a crush last this long and be so intense, and the only reason why this person came back up in my life was because I already told you they make music, so I have their music on my phone, so that's one. But 2, I had a dream about him, and in every dream that I have, we kind of got closer and closer, so it was just like, damn, like, my subconscious was kind of fucking me up with that one. fast forward, I talked to my twin. Shout outs to Sierra Chai. We freaking love her. She's the best. She's a DJ, and yeah, she just has been like this heaven sent. I don't really know if my friends be wanting me to say their names on the podcast, so I should probably ask. But hopefully I see her before this episode comes out so I can double check. But Sierra Chai with 2 eyes, by the way. But yeah, like she has just been like a complete reflection of all that I am. Oftentimes I definitely have like friendships that either reflect who I was, who I am, or who I'm going to be, right? And I think that I've been struggling navigating the friendships of who I was. We're going to come back to that though. But so I talked to Sierra about it, and she was really supportive. And after I gave her all of the details, she had like a really good fucking talk with me. And by the end of the night, when I was about to leave her house, I literally felt like an entire weight was lifted off of my shoulders. Like I felt like this heavy crush that I had on this guy had actually dissipated, and like I was normal again. Like I felt like I was under a spell, and the spell had been broken, and it was just really helpful for me. I don't think that this person is a bad person at all, by the way. The guy that I have a crush on, I think that he's great, but is he my person? I don't know. And I think that I obsessed and spent so much energy on this crush because I think that I felt like he was unobtainable. And I think that I felt like there might have even been a time where he was a little bit more obtainable. But I wasn't in a space where I would be able to give him what he deserved in a relationship, because I was fresh out of my fucking relationship and it was funky. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. And I feel like I can see clearly now that my crush is gone. Then the fucking next day, because I told y'all I stopped smoking for a little while. Wait, did I smoke that day though? Oh, I think I did smoke that day. But anyways, I stopped smoking for a little while. But the next day I had a vivid dream, or that night I had a vivid dream. And it was with his friend. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, please, please. God, no. And the thing about it is, I will say that one common theme in my life is that I will either talk to or like somebody that is fine and also has fine friends. And that pisses me the fuck off. Because I'm always like, did I choose the wrong friend to shoot my shot to? Like, I like this basketball player back in the day. If you've known me from like ages 16 to 19, then you probably know the guy that I'm talking about. But he had this other friend. And I was so cool with this other friend's mom, his sister, like, I think I even went to like his older brother's basketball game somehow. I don't even know how I ended up there. But anyways, ended up like trying to slide into, so say that my crush's name was, what did I call him in my other podcast? What the fuck did I call? I don't even remember what I called him. And I don't want to say the wrong name because then it's going to be incriminating. But anyway, say that we'll just call him T. Say that I had a crush on T back in the day, then he had a friend B. Now, B was cute as shit. I actually, ironically, unfortunately, think that my ex kind of low-key resembled B, believe it or not. But anyways, oh my God, we have to get back to my ex and how he's, y'all, I think my ex is stalking me. Okay, anyways, and if you're listening to this right now, I think you're stalking me. I don't even know why I fucking whispered that, but long story short, I tried to slide in B's DMs like years later, and I think that I had given him my phone number, but he never reached back out to me, and I feel like it's because of T, or maybe he's just not into me. Maybe he simply is just not into me. I have to watch that movie. He's just not that into you. But long story short, I still think he's cute. If you know who I'm talking about, tell him to holla at me. Give him this podcast. No, I'm playing, because I'm pretty sure I'm gay now, but. Anywho's, yeah, friendships and crushes. So that crush is done. Had a dream about his friend. I was like, did I choose the wrong friend? Okay, that was it. But there's plenty of fish in the sea. I lived my best, wildest lesbian dreams the other day when I was at this party. Shout out to High Vibes. And yeah, like I was dancing with women, and it was so amazing and liberating and healing and just so utterly wonderful. I had such a great time. Everybody was just so beautiful and accepting. I didn't dance with not one man that night, like whining wise. And that was really, really fucking amazing. It's just like a different kind of synergy when you're dancing with a woman versus dancing with a man. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I really can't even tell you what it is, but it's just a different kind of energy. And like, there were so many videos of me dancing with women that night, and I just looked so in my element. And the other day, my mom and I were talking about crushes and stuff like that, and she is still trying to understand like why I'm giving men chances. And I'm like, sis, I'm trying to understand that too. But hetero conformity in society and all that shit is just, it's fucking me up. And I think that when I show up in a lesbian relationship, I feel like I have to be my best, most accountable, most gentle, most loving self. And if I was to show up in a heterosexual relationship, I feel like I don't have to go that hard. I really do. I really feel like I don't have to do a lot. Like, really, and I think that sometimes in lesbian relationships, we give so much and we pour so much into each other that it's just so beautiful and so refreshing. You just want to keep pouring and pouring. And in heterosexual relationships, I don't know, like the one that I was in was super one-sided. So when he would do something, it was like, yeah, or like clapping like a seal, like, yay, you did something. And it felt like so fucking magical for the second until he fucked up again. It's just like this weird roller coaster. And, I think I told my mom, or maybe it was Ciara, I was like, I have a slight addiction to pain that I'm getting over. I'm in recovery. And it's like addiction to uncomfortability, and I'm in recovery for that as well. So I think that that is one of the reasons why I still kind of give men attention. Also, I can be attracted to men until they talk. And that's why I said that I think that I need to be with a partner who is bilingual or doesn't speak English at all, but doesn't speak Spanish, because I'm about to really be like fluent in Spanish because I'm manifesting that shit. So yeah, I think that I really need a partner who speaks like fucking Taiwanese or some shit. You don't have to be from Taiwan, but you can just speak Taiwanese or fucking Kenyan or something. I don't know. But let's just move on to friendships. But my point is that, yeah, and then like the oracle card I pulled the next day about my crush, or not about my crush, but about life in general, was talking about letting go and surrendering and opening my hands and giving space so that new things can fill that space. So I've been practicing that in all aspects of my life, honestly, like even with money. We have savings accounts, and then those savings accounts dwindle down, especially when you are running businesses and paying rent. So what I once had as a cushion, I no longer have at all. And even when I did my income taxes, y'all, that shit was a wake up fucking call. You hear me? A wake up call. Like, this is what we made. How the fuck did I survive? But I'm just gonna give thanks. And there's an Adele song, and it goes, I'm holding on. Belly, mama's got a lot to learn. It's heavy. That's me. So, we're making it through. But my point is that, even with money, like I can hold on. But now that there's no way of holding on anymore, I've had to let go, and I've had to relinquish, and I've had to open my hand and hope that things get better. And one thing that helps me is that we are universally struggling. So I know that I'm not alone, but I also don't like that everybody that I know is struggling in some way, shape, or form, financially or just stability-wise. And that makes me sad. So I'm hoping that we all are able to, get some type of help. I don't know how that's going to come, but I'll just keep praying to the universe about it and to the ancestors, because they got us. Speaking of they got us, let's talk about friendships. So I said to y'all before that, by the way, you might be like, oh, what sex thing are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how I was on the show called, actually, I'm not going to say the name of the show because I don't necessarily feel like they deserve the recognition, but if you go deep into the archives, you can figure out what show I was on. But I was on a show, and it was fucking hilarious, and we're going to talk about all that experience. And then I want to talk about cuckolding, because a very special person who would like to remain anonymous, and I have been corresponding via email. I don't know if I ever read his email, because I feel like I read it in an episode that I never released. So I have to go back and listen to see if I ever read it. But if not, it was one of the most touching emails I've ever gotten from someone. And yeah, it just got me on this rabbit hole of just like wanting to do a lot when it comes to inclusivity and sex. But one of the topics we talked about in the emails was cuckolding, and I actually don't know a lot about it, so I want us to do some research on it together. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about friendships, because I think this is also another important topic, just as like, especially people my age, I'm about to be 30, and like making friends is not easy. But it also isn't as hard as I thought it was when you're being your most authentic self. So in a couple of episodes before, I'm having allergies, by the way, so that sniffle was an allergy sniffle. But a couple of episodes before, I talked about like my struggles with friendships, and then a couple of episodes after that, I talked about the types of friendships that my heart is open to receiving, and then a couple of episodes after that, I talked about some more struggles with friendships, especially when it came to moving out of America, right? And I really felt like friends and family didn't necessarily nurture our communication the way that I thought they would have once I moved out of the country. Now, I'm not really sure why I was that shocked, because it happened to me when I was in Atlanta too. But for whatever reason, people believe that an ocean is a dividing factor between like, does an ocean, well, I guess technically from Atlanta, yeah, an ocean divides us. But like, can't you drive from California to fucking Mexico? Yeah, so it's not even a fucking, anyways, they think that landmass like is like out of sight, out of mind. Like, bitch, once you are not in America, you are not in our index anymore. So that's what it was giving. I always did feel like my family kind of forgot that I existed until I came to New York. So I just kind of, that was a narrative for a while. And I was like, it is what it is. Because every time I'm with my family, I'm like in love with them. So it's like, whatever. It is, like I said, it is what it is. Shout out to the people who do check on me every once in a while. And usually it's the people that are also kind of like the, not outcasts, but like the people on the outskirts as well, so like we see each other. But yeah, so family, it was what it was. But with friends, I thought that I had really cultivated some really beautiful friendships, specifically in Atlanta. And I just felt like once I moved, like that was not it. Now, granted, the first couple of months I was here, I was so depressed, like when I first moved, because I was detoxing from America and a whole bunch of stuff. So I understand why there was a bit of a disconnect. And then everybody was just kind of going through it. But now there's just like a real disconnect. I don't even know what the fuck is happening in any of my friends' lives. And it's very, very mutual, right? Very mutual. So I might take 3 months to reply to somebody, and then they might take 3 months to reply to me, and then I might take 2 months to reply to somebody, and then they might take 2 months to reply to me. So once you kind of start that cycle, it's hard to get back into the groove of things, especially considering everything that's going on in their lives. And the cost of living down there is making my friends have to work double time. Me, on the other hand, the cost of living is still a struggle for me. In general, food is a struggle for me. But I took the route of working for myself, so it's just a different kind of struggle, right? And a different type of time restraint, and a different type of pouring into my projects. Another thing that I think is very important to know is, I've said this before in other podcast episodes, that a majority of my friends back in the States are in relationships, right? Like married, like literally. So the thing that is complicated about that is that I had created a narrative in my head that, if you're in a relationship, then, you don't always show up as the friend that you once showed up in when you were single. The thing about that is, I was more so comparing my experience, right? Like when I was in a relationship, although my relationship was extremely abusive and toxic, I wasn't able to nurture my friendships the way that I really wanted to. I didn't even know that I wanted to when I was in it, because I was so wrapped up in the drama of it all with my partner. So even though like thinking about healthy relationships, it's still kind of hard. There's no real handbook on how to maintain your relationship, whether it's a new relationship or an old relationship. If it's a new relationship, you're trying to nurture it. If it's an old relationship, you're trying to nurture it. It's just a lot, right? A lot to navigate. And like I said, these are conversations that are kind of hard to have with your friends sometimes, depending on the friend. But there have been so many friendships I've made down here that have actually like demystified things, like generalizations that I once had, right? I have a very good friend right now that I feel like we're really like actively working on growing our bond. But we're also giving each other space at the same time. But like, they're in a relationship. But like, that's not a hindrance. I don't know. It's not even a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know their partner. I think that their partner is amazing. Like, I don't really know what the difference is between like having friends here in relationships and having friends in the States that are in relationships. But I think that it's just maybe a little bit extra to navigate for my friends in the States. And you know what, y'all, full transparency, we have to normalize. I don't even want to use the word outgrowing people, because I feel like I'm still very much so very in love with my friends, even if we don't talk all the time, especially as adult friends, right? You can go from being teenagers and talking all the fucking time to then being adults and having real life shit, whether it's real life circumstances or jobs or whatever the case may be. So, but I think that maybe growing in different directions is a thing in friendships. Now, add living out of the country is a totally different thing, right? Because once you move out of the country, your mindset has to change. You grow at a fucking rapid ass pace as opposed to either staying in your hometown or moving to another state. You still kind of have similar accommodations that you would have had. Me going from New York to Atlanta, okay, so we don't have King Cullen in Atlanta or Pathmark, but we do have fucking Sprouts and Trader Joe's. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I don't even know. We have Kroger. I don't know if that's what the equivalent is. But my point is, when you move to another country, though, it's just a totally different kind of mindset. And when you move to another country and stay in the other country, that even further, like when you are really completely committed to being done with America, that's a totally different mindset. So the people that I've been meeting down here, we've been so intentional. Like, I've been having the most transparent, authentic conversations in the beginning of our friendships. Y'all, recently I had to take a pause in a friendship that was a very close friendship of mine because the root cause was phone calls and a lack of mutual communication, but it was a hot ass fucking mess of a conversation, right? Now, I then became very paranoid about my communication style, and I became very hyper aware of my communication style because I felt like I didn't really feel like much had changed in my communication style. Like, I feel like I was pretty damn consistent with like taking weeks to reply. Every once in a while, if you call me on a good day, of course I would take a couple of days or whatever, or I might even reply in that moment if I'm available. But it wasn't like it wasn't mutual, right? Like I said before, my friend literally thanked me for not judging them for their communication style, but then unraveled to going off on me for my communication style. I say all that to say, I became very hyper aware, very, very hyper aware of my communication style, showing how I showed up in friendships, making sure that I was making sure that I made it fucking clear how I communicate so that nobody took this shit personally, and to know that I'm going to be very consistent with this communication, but very consistent in the fluctuation, right? Because I can. Because you should be able to show up in friendships to where you can reply when you can. And if you don't have the capacity, it's okay, because we're humans and there are literal wars going on in the world right now. So you're not always going to have the capacity, especially if there are wars going on in your own personal world as well, which most of us have going on, whether it be a financial war, whatever. So in this friendship with Sierra, I remember a couple of days after I took a pause on this other friendship, Sierra maybe took, say, like a week to reply to me, right? Which was not anything that was crazy to me because that's how I communicate. But she sent me like 4 voice notes explaining, like, not explaining, but basically sharing with me what her communication style is. And, she was very fucking honest about it. Like, she didn't beat around the bush. It wasn't a people-pleasing tone. It was very much so, this is real. This is me. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be now. It was very much that energy, and I lived for it. Because I know that it probably took a lot of courage, especially considering this was in the beginning of our friendship, like we were still building it, to say that as she said it, so that there was no room for misinterpretation. And I told her how utterly refreshing this conversation was. I didn't even tell her about the friendship stuff that I had gone through prior. I just told her that it was really refreshing because that is also how I communicate. And as an adult, I don't think that it's realistic for us to talk every single day, every single hour, and be constantly just at your discretion, especially when we are out here owning businesses, building brands, trying to survive. It's just not realistic. It really isn't. And if that's realistic in your reality, then good on you. Good for you. You get the Friend of the Year award. You go, Glen Coco. 4 for you, Glen Coco. For real, if that works for you in your friendships, then good. That might work for you in one of your friendships. There might be one friend that you could talk to every day and it's not a thing. It's not a problem. But there might be another friend. You're like, girl, I need 5 days, please. Sometimes it's the person. Sometimes it's just you. And that's okay. Like, it's me. It's a me thing. So between that and then I had another beautiful experience with my friend Jersey. Shout outs to Jersey. She's absolutely so amazing. She's a content creator and is like documenting her journey here in Mexico. But like I was talking to my friend on the beach about, phone calls. My friend Jersey on the beach about phone calls. We were just talking about, cultivating friendships and, being intentional about our friendships. And I was telling her about how, cause when we first exchanged numbers and stuff, and she had asked me if she could call me, but this was around the time I was about to go to Las Vegas, and I was so overwhelmed, but I didn't really know how to express, like, I'm too overwhelmed for a phone call right now, because once again, I'm just coming down from this other friendship stuff, right, with the phone calls and with the just communication thing. So I was hypersensitive, hyper paranoid about it. So eventually we talked, and I was like, because she said she's a really bad texter, and I'm like, okay, and I'm a really bad phone caller. She immediately was like, okay, let's do voice notes as a compromise. Just like that. Fucking just immediately. Wow. Okay, come on, compromises. Let's fucking go. And that worked for the both of us, so that was amazing. And I also made it very clear, like, there was never a rush, you know what I'm saying, communication-wise. So we already got that conversation done off the bat. On the beach, though, I remember talking to her about phone calls, and I was explaining to her, like, why I don't like phone calls. She didn't ask for this explanation. I was just actively explaining it to her. She looked at me and was like, Atia, or you can just not like phone calls, period. I was like, oh, what? Like, what a fucking concept. Well, do you know how fucking liberating that shit was? That one sentence that I have permission to not like phone calls, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm messed up or on the spectrum or whatever the case may be. Like, yeah, I am on the spectrum. And yeah, I do have some things about me that are a little fucked, but that's okay because we're human. But me not liking phone calls is not one of those things, neither of those things. So I was just really grateful. And I say all that to say that, now that I have these blueprints of how I want my friendships to be with, say, Ciara and Jersey and all the other beautiful friends that I've made here in Mexico, I think that they were definitely sent to me from my ancestors and from the universe. And like I said, I manifested them. But I think that they're also a great example of how I want all of my friendships from here on out to feel. And so now the next step is trying to figure out how to re-navigate these friendships from back at home and find ways to get back on the same page with these old friends. Now, we support each other through social media, and we'll comment on each other's pages, and, we'll support each other when we're following each other's dreams and stuff like that. But it's just hard when we're just living in two totally different worlds at this point. And that's just the reality. And I think that once I could face that reality, that's when my mind was able to now start cultivating new ways of communication, new ways of nurturing these friendships, new ways of seeing, are these friendships mutually being nurtured? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I pouring into this more than this other person is? Is this person pouring into it more than I am? Because I could check myself as well. So that's where I'm at now with navigating friendships. So if you're a friend from back at home, especially if you know that you were considered a close friend. Now, if you're like one of the mediocre friendships that, it's one of those reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. It's not mediocre. I don't want to say that. But if you were in my life for a reason, a season, then that's fine too. Or even locationally, that happens and that's okay. Or we can support each other from afar. But for my close friends, just know that, I'm over here just trying to navigate how we can grow our friendship to be one that keeps up with who I am right now. It's almost on some allow me to reintroduce myself type shit. And you introduce yourself to me, because maybe there are some things that I've developed that I just don't know. And I'm so excited to learn about that. So that's where we're at with friendships, and I'm super excited. Now I want to talk about my pussy. And I did say that I wanted to talk about the OBGYN. And if we have time, I'll share that. But I did just want to talk about sex toys for a second. Because, y'all, I had an orgasm the other day in my sleep. And then I also I think I'm probably going to fucking masturbate today because it's been a while. It's been a while because I had an orgasm that was so powerful. I scared myself. I couldn't believe that I have obtained this amount of pleasure. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Olivia, because she told me back in the day that because I told her I felt like I was stopping myself from like this peak amount of pleasure. And she recommended this suction toy to me. And this suction toy did actually teach me how to squirt, how to make myself squirt. But I found a new suction toy But I always keep that conversation in mind because I really do feel like I would always stop at a certain place before I was about to orgasm. So I'm about to give y'all an orgasm hack. Speaking of orgasms, I have an orgasm quiz that I would love for y'all to take. It will literally help me out with research in regards to how to help people with vulvas have better orgasms. And I also just want to get more insight on people with penises. And that way I know how to really develop my sexual wellness brand to be able to fit and help everybody. But right now, I have 11 responses from people with vulvas and 1 response from a person with a penis. And so I know that I could do a lot better than that. I know that I can definitely get y'all support on that. It's free. I'll put the link in this podcast description. But what was I going to say? Okay, so the toy that I use is called the Nami by Shop Sador. You already know you can use the code LOVEITIA to get 15% off of your entire purchase. Oh, we're also going to talk about the sensuality book too. The Nami is a vibrational toy and a suction toy. Now, everybody was talking about the rose. Somebody gifted me with the rose, a company. They told me I didn't have to promote them, so great. They gifted me with the rose. I used it, and it gave very much lackluster. It gave the people that were excited about the rose probably had never experienced a suction toy before, so I could understand why it would be exciting for them. I could definitely understand that. But I don't think that the rose carries the capability that other toys can carry. For instance, the Nami, which I think is really, really, really well made. I also think that the edging settings for the vibration of the Nami are well made. And I think that the way that the Nami is folded is very well made. Like, I can hold the Nami up to my vagina, to my vulva. The bottom vibration part will vibrate my vaginal entrance and like my bottom half of my labia. Well, honestly, my whole labia, the labia majora and the labia minora, especially if I kind of wiggle it in my my vagina, my vulva a bit. But then the top clit sucker sits on your clit. It can either sit on your clit, or I like to put it on top of my clit. Like, that's my personal favorite thing to do. So I put it on top of my clit because, you know, your clit is really big. If you watch Love, Sex, and Goop, there's a great episode, I think it's episode 4, like the first couple of minutes of it, where one of the instructors shows like what the outer clit looks like and what the inner clit looks like. But the clit is a whole world of its own, and I love that it sits on the outside, but then you also have the inside of its workings as well. So to me, when I'm stimulating the top of my clit, it's just as powerful, because sometimes it can actually get overstimulated if I put it directly on my clitoral hood or my actual like clitoris bulb, or like the little clitoris button. So I hold it there. And what I recommend is, if you would like to experiment with squirting, edge. Edging means that you do not come to a full climax. So I'll hold the Nami up to my lady bits, but right when I feel like I'm about to orgasm, I'll ease it away. They also have edging settings on there too that you can use as well. But sometimes if you catch the edging setting on the right fucking vibration, you might still accidentally get a little ramped up and have an orgasm, which doesn't mean you can't have more orgasms. And it doesn't mean that after you orgasm, you can't squirt. I also just want to make sure that it's very clear you can squirt without having an orgasm. So the liquid can protrude from your urethra, but you might not orgasm. It can be, I like to say it's a different form of an orgasm, but classically, quote unquote, I don't think that it's considered to be an orgasm, unless we should talk about that, like what an orgasm even consists of, right? Like, because we might all be thinking that they're different things, but to me, I just always consider like pulsating to be like an aspect of an orgasm. So I recommend it. Like, that's all I really have to say. Also, that's the Nami from Shop Sador. The link will be in the description. Treat yourself to it, because like if you've been saving money for a toy, you know what I'm saying, you don't know what toy to go for, I recommend the Nami, because you get 2 in 1, right? So if penetration isn't your shit, then that's great, because the Nami will literally give you everything you need, in my personal opinion. And I think it's just made really well, and it comes with like a charger base that can work as a nightlight, and I just think that that's really cute and inventive. But then also I got a micro magic wand from Shop Sador. Y'all, so you already know that my first sex toy ever was a Hitachi magic wand. Even though, Hitachi tries to separate themselves from sex toys as a whole, because that's not what they intended to be. But Magic Wand as itself has come out with a line of wands that I love. And this one is it's like rechargeable, so it's cordless, and it's really small, but it packs a punch, baby. And it's not overwhelming the way that the Hitachi is. Because once again, remember, the Hitachi wand was not created for a vagina. It was created for your back muscles. So when you get a magic wand, it's created actually for your vulvas. With body safe material and all that stuff. It's not porous, which is amazing. But the micro is cute because one, it's easy to travel with. Two, I think it has like 7 settings. I think I lost count, but I feel like it has like 7 settings. But the edging settings are some of the best settings that I have ever seen on a vibrator with edging settings. The Nami and the Micro Magic Wand are really good for that. I'm really passionate about these. So I've been promoting these for a very long time because, I have a couple of other faves that I like to shout out every once in a while, but these have really fucking set the bar high as shit. I don't really know what's going to top these. Maybe when I come out with my own, that's when it will. But yeah, these are my favorites right now. And I think that these are really cute gifts too. And the Micro Magic Wand is, it comes in a little bit less, financially. It comes under the Nami, but the Nami, I want to say it's close to maybe 100, maybe 119, if anything. But then when you use the discount, it's less than that. So anyways, those are my 2 recommendations. I'm going to do some more videos about the micro wand, but yeah. The settings on that shit, if for such a tiny wand, to me, the Micro Magic Wand works better than this other black magic wand. It's not even a magic wand, so I don't want to call it that. It's a body wand. And I got it from one of those other stores. It's a novelty shop or whatever, but they sell a whole bunch of other but they sell this other store sells low quality toys. So, you get what you pay for. But for Shops Adore, they have really good brands, which is why I like to stick with Bird, from Shops Adore, or the Magic Wand, whatever size you want to get. So that's my sex toy shout out, because y'all, you deserve orgasms, and I'm really passionate about that. I know that we've been talking a lot about being inorgasmic. I know we had Bailey on the show, and Bailey is freaking amazing. If you have not watched Bailey's episode, you need to go back and watch. These interviews that I've been having have been spot on. I am about to have some amazing interviews coming up. I'm releasing an interview with my mom and my dad, and it's just so amazing. I just cannot wait. But with that being said, definitely check out shopsadore.com. Use the code LOVEITIA and treat yourself to a really good toy. I would not steer you wrong. I think that these 2 toys, the Micro Magic Wand and the Nami, are 2 really good ones. And I squirted, I think 3 or 4 times. I want to say 4 because I think the first time I didn't even know it happened. But the way that the puddle was, I need me a waterproof sheet. If anybody out there has a brand that has a waterproof sheet that they would like me to promote, just know that I'm your girl, because my body has features I didn't even know. It's when you get a new iPhone, you don't know what to expect. Yeah, it's giving that. Oh my God. Okay, before we dive into anything else, I have to tell you about my orgasm that I had in my dream. And it was because I had a dream about Jcole. Now, hear me out. Because I asked my 13 followers on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, y'all, please. I follow back. Even though I really don't care about numbers anymore, I'm going to do a TikTok post about that. I really don't care anymore about, not who's seeing my stuff, but the quantity. They have this saying quality over quantity, right? Throughout our entire lives, we've heard that. Yet on social media, we're so fucking focused on, having billions of followers when half of them people are fucking AI bots anyways. So, the dream. But follow me on Twitter. It's I Love Itia. I had a dream that I went out to eat and Jcole came in. There was somebody else that was there too. I wrote it down, or I said it in my notes or something like that. But Jcole came in and he had a vegan restaurant. Now, I had another dream about Offset and how Offset had a vegan restaurant. This one did not end in an orgasm, but Jcole's, I remember I went to go get a vegan quesadilla, and because the restaurant was in the restaurant that I was in, I guess, but he was promoting it, so he came over to our table. So I go and I'm trying to order, and then I guess the staff, one of the guys was being rude, and then I didn't end up being able to get what I needed, and he asked checked in on me to see if I got what I needed. Anyways, long story short, I had like convulsions, like, and you know, some people might be like, oh, it was sleep paralysis or whatever. I've never had, I don't know what that feels like, but I know what an orgasm feels like. The weirdest thing about it though, from what I remember, it's not like I woke up wet. And normally that's how you can determine, like, well, that's how I've determined if I had a wet dream, because like I'll wake up and my vagina will be soaked. But I have had situations where I've had, or vulva, excuse me, where I've had like intense adrenaline rushes in my dreams, and then my vulva will be, my vulva will be convulsing, like, or like contracting, and my body will be kind of like contracting or convulsing. I don't know how to describe it at all. If anybody's ever done this before, experienced it, can you email me, please? Because I feel like I'm very much so alone right now. And like one person did comment back, hey, shout out to my girl, and was like, I've had wet dreams, but never like convulsions in my sleep. I'm like, no, I had like whole, like an actual orgasm. And I think that part of it was because it was an adrenaline rush, because I was trying to take a picture with Jcole. And like, we couldn't get it together for whatever reason. And you know, like sometimes in dreams, like technology won't work. It's a thing. I don't know if that happens to y'all, but anyways, that was my orgasm dream. Now, speaking of orgasms, let's talk about cuckolding. Shout outs to my friend who shall remain anonymous, but this is dedicated to you. So for me, I just needed to educate myself on what cuckolding was. I had heard it before, but I never really knew exactly like what it consisted of. So I found this article on healthline.com, and it says everything you need to know about cuckolding. Okay, so enjoying watching your partner have sex with someone else is a fetish called cuckolding. Anyone can partake in this sex act safely and with the consent of their partner and other participants. In basic terms, cuckolding is a fetish or kink in which a person gets turned on by their partner having sex with someone else. It's closely tied to BDSM with overlaps like domination, submission, and humiliation, minus the gear and spanking a la 50 Shades. By the way, I know that it's like a very just like anything else in sex, like you make whatever applies to you apply to you. So for instance, I know they mentioned humiliation. If that's not what you're into, then that's totally okay. I think if they're just mentioning it can be a part of it if you decide to it just overlaps like domination, submission, and all that good stuff. Okay. Historically, the term cuckold, and it's spelled cuckolding is spelled Cuckolding. Okay, so historically the term cuckold refers to a man who was unknowingly cheated on by his wife, but don't get too hung up on that, okay? The modern day cuckold, who is not necessarily a cisgender or heterosexual male, is fully aware and heartily approves of their partner's affairs. I see what you did there. Okay. Is it common? Okay, it says here, apparently, though pinning down specific numbers is tricky given the delicate nature of the topic, based on internet research, oodles of people Google the words cuckolding on the daily. Porn sites have also reported that cuckold porn is one of the most searched categories. Exactly how many people are actually engaging in it is hard to say. Is it just for men? No. A lot of the info assumes only cis hetero men want to be cuckolded, but those desires aren't specific to gender or sexuality. And FYI, the cuckoldress or the person having the sex isn't always a woman. And the third party, also known as the quote-unquote bull, isn't always a man. Wow. Okay. So like, for instance, with cuckolding, I identify as like a hell God. I almost threw up a hetero woman. Hell no. No shame to hetero women, but that's not how I identify. I guess I am a cis woman. I don't necessarily say that I identify as it, but I'm a cis woman. And I like women. And so if I was in a cuckolding situation, this would fucking turn me on. Watch it. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I'm definitely into cuckolding. To watch my partner get pleased by another person? Shit. You know, even if I was with a woman and she was getting pleased by a man, that would turn me on. But only if it's highly consensual. Like when it was with like when my former lesbian partner had said that her boyfriend wanted to do a 2.5 some. I'm like, nah. I mean, that's not cuckolding because I'd be participating in it. And I think that cuckolding more so when you are the cuckolder, like the person watching, I think that you don't necessarily participate. Although I do wonder if they're going to talk about if you can masturbate. Because, see, that would be my thing. Can I masturbate while watching? Because that would turn me on. But, ooh, if I can't masturbate, that would turn me on even more. Because, like, ooh, I can't wait to be able to masturbate. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Anyways, moving on. Why do people like it? Like any kink, there are several possible variables at play, including biological and social factors. The reasons behind the enjoyment vary between the roles, too. To be cucked. Psychologists have suggested a number of reasons why someone may be turned on by their partner having sex with someone else. Biology. A biological urge referred to as the sperm competition theory may play a role in the desire to be cucked. That's if the cuck is someone with the penis, of course. Oh, fuck. The terminology is fucking me up right now. I feel like we should have wrote this down, y'all. We should have wrote this down. I'll tag this article so that y'all can follow along. In these scenarios, some research suggests that watching your partner with another man prompts a biological response to have longer and more vigorous sex. That's very interesting. Vigorous to me doesn't sound pleasurable. But I also be thinking, like, sometimes when I think about men and sex and nature, I do think that, like, God, very rarely do you watch, like, animals passionately have sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, them motherfuckers be going in. Now, granted, humans want to say we're not animals, so then we shouldn't be fucking like animals. But if you do enjoy vigorous sex, I'm not going to shame you as long as it is consensual. That is all I freaking care about. Next up. This urge often results in the cuck ejaculating harder. Having more sperm in their ejaculate and having a shorter refractory period before erection so that they're ready to go at it a lot sooner. Okay, wait, let me go back up to the terms. So cuckoldress would be the person who's having sex, right? Like the other partner who's having sex with the bull. And then the bull is the person who is like the third party, right? Okay, like the cheatedest, like the person who's cheating, right? Like, but what wasn't in the relationship, like the third party. Okay, but okay, with this they're saying the cuck. So then I guess I would be watching, so I would be the cuck. So they would say if I was a man, then I would ejaculate harder as the cuck, having more sperm in my ejaculate if I was the cuck, and having a shorter refractory period between erections so that I'd be ready to go at it again a lot sooner. And they're saying biology plays a part in this. It's very interesting. I want them to elaborate on this. Okay. Maybe they do because there's some highlighted parts here. Jealousy. Knowing someone else wants your partner can kick your desire into overdrive and make you want them more than a fresh from the oven Krispy Kreme. That does sound good. Sexual jealousy can be intense, motivating, and pretty arousing. Some researchers think that jealousy is also a part of what fuels sperm competition and gets a male ready to fight for the fertilization win. Oh, wow. That's very interesting. I would love to be able to turn my jealousy into something that's more healthy and more like fun. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the more that I work on like attachment styles, the more that I work on just not feeling like I can possess someone, the better I'd be at being able to have healthy, like fun, arousing feelings of jealousy. So yeah. Okay, the next one is compersion. Compersion is the flip side of jealousy. It's the happiness you feel seeing your partner happy. I love that. The words often are used by people in polyamorous relationships to describe the feeling they get seeing their partner courting someone else. In the world of cuckolding, the happy feels come from seeing your partner being sexually satisfied by another. I love that. You get a little dopamine boost. Okay, this is the one that for people who like the humiliation aspect. Humiliation seems to play a leading role in cuckolding. It comes from the ridicule a person is likely to feel when their partner cheats on them. For some, humiliation ramps up the erotic intensity of the act by a bazillion. This can come from watching their partner with someone else or some extra humiliation thrown in for good measure, like being laughed at or belittled by their partner in the bull. Oh shit. For others, humiliation doesn't even factor in because while par of the course in real hold on, let me read that over. For others, humiliation doesn't even factor in because while par for the course in real fidelity, cuckolding between consenting adults removes or at least dulls it for some. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So basically, wait, I'm sorry. I might not be able to finish that sentence I was just going to say, but I was going to say about humiliation. It's very interesting because you've ever seen like a woman get cheated on and then she goes back to her man and feels like she has to do more and like fuck quote unquote better and like fill in the blanks that she felt like he was trying to get from somebody else. I wonder if there really is a biological competitive nature in that and we just have not tapped into that yet. And like, you know, some women like, or I'm using women because I identify as a woman, but I know that everybody can get cheated on. Everybody hurts sometimes, but sometimes I'd be like, yo, she just like, does she stay in a relationship because she wants to be humiliated? It's like when I say like I have an addiction to pain. Do some people have an addiction to being humiliated? Like, is that just what they either feel like they deserve? To me though, the women that I see are not empowered by it. And in this, whenever I hear about kinks, to me, I don't know, I just always think that kinks can be pretty empowering, but maybe not. It's like the degradation kink, you know, like I don't know how empowering being degraded is, but some people love it. So I don't know. All right. The submission aspect. The cuck is essentially submitting to someone else taking over their role in the bedroom. The pleasure comes from giving up that power of sexually pleasing your partner over to someone else. I like that. I really do. I could definitely see myself getting into cuckolding. The taboo factor. It's no secret that cultures idealize monogamy. Well, some cultures, I would say. But, you know, that's not what it says here. So even though cuckolding is a common fantasy, it's still considered taboo to share your partner with another. And who doesn't like to be naughty and break the rules once in a while? All right, next up is to have a partner who enjoys being cucked. You might wonder what's in it for you if you're with someone who likes being cucked. It turns out there's plenty of pleasure to be had. All right, there's physical pleasure. Not only is there the obvious physical pleasure you get from engaging in sexual acts with the bull, so this is for the cucktress now, but the sex gets better between you and your partner too. What little research is available on cuckolding shows that both partners report having hotter sex with each other. I believe that. Also, cuckoldresses report feeling more sexually satisfied, which makes sense because sometimes, you know, you can get into like a rut or like a sexual routine with your partner. So that makes sense. Cuckolding may also revitalize a relationship that's become a bit stale over time. Exactly. Another aspect is emotional intimacy. The consensus is that the majority of couples that partake in cuckolding tend to have excellent communication and intimacy. The intimacy to share your deep desires encourages intimacy and brings you closer. I love that. Ooh, okay, and then the domination aspect. So before we had the intimacy aspect for the cuck, the submission aspect for the cuck, now we have the domination aspect. Though the rules aren't set in stone and couples can mix things up as they prefer, the cuckoldress typically takes on the sexually dominant role. They get to have sex with others while the cuck remains loyal and doesn't squat, unless their partner wants them to, that is. I want to read it with that cadence. Okay, and the bull in the cucking scenario. What about them? To be a bull in a cucking scenario, as the bull, you're the third party that gets chosen to come into the relationship. The main draw here is getting to have no strings attached sex with someone who is eager and willing. For some, the dominance aspect is appealing and comes from stepping in and taking over the cuck's role in the bedroom. Now, what counts as cucking? You don't actually need to go as far as watching your partner have sex with another to enjoy the fun of cucking. Cucking can involve hearing your partner talk about sex with someone else, real or imagined. Oh, shit. Now we're getting juicy. to get your feet wet. If you're not quite ready to go looking for a bull, you can get off on listening to your partner talk about sex with someone else. Have them tell you about other people they fantasize about having sex with, or the juicy details of past sexual encounters. Shit, I guess this podcast is good for that, because I definitely do a hell of a lot of that. Okay, they say if you want to take it a little further, if you're really turned on by the idea of your partner hooking up with someone else, start off with watching them from a distance as your partner flirts with someone at the bar. Too vanilla? Suggest your partner get a sensual massage from someone else while you watch to test the waters. If you think you can handle more, send your partner out on a date where sex is on the menu and have them share all the details when they're done. If you want it all, along with watching your partner get busy with someone else, talk about the option of participating in the act. Your role can be as big or small as all parties are cool with, like directing the bull and telling them what to do to your partner, or actually getting in there for a threesome. Is this the same thing as having a quote-unquote hot wife? I've never heard. Have you heard this terminology before? A hot wife? I don't know. They say no. Though people often use the terms hot wife and cuckoldress interchangeably, a hot wife scenario is more about sex rather than emotion, power, or control. Instead of humiliation, hot wifing seems to center on pride. The partner is proud of having a hot to trot partner and her sexual adventures, and are happy to share. I guess I have to do more research on that. I've never heard of a hot wife. Let me know if you've heard of that before. How do you talk to your partner about it? Fantasies, kinks, and fetishes are normal, but bringing them up to your partner isn't always easy. Use these tips to help you open the dialogue and figure out if it's something that you want to try. All right, so the first one is if they bring it up with you. Hearing that your partner wants to try cuckolding can be a shock to the system, especially if your relationship isn't particularly kinky to start with. Hear them out and ask questions. Being honest about your desires and sharing that the idea of inviting someone else into your sex life takes some serious courage. You owe it to your partner to hear them out without any judgment. Your partner may just enjoy the cuckold fantasy or be interested in bringing the fantasy to life. Asking questions will get you the information you need while also showing them that they can be open with you. To spur the conversation, you can ask, what is it about cuckolding that turns you on? Is it just a fantasy or something you really want to try? How far would you want to take this? And how do you think this will benefit our relationship? Take time to decide how you feel. Cuckolding requires that you have all the information you need and take time to really consider how you feel. Let them know that you need time to think about it, and then start slow. If you decide that cuckolding is something that you're interested in exploring, you don't need to jump into the bullpen right away. Start by watching cuckolding videos together or sharing a cuckolding fantasy. If you want to bring it up to them, take a deep breath and start the conversation without any preconceived expectations or assumptions about how they'll respond. Be prepared, though, for the possibility that your partner may not share your enthusiasm. And remember, I'm adding this, enthusiastic consent is key in all sexual experiences and in life. Next up is be honest. Even though there's a chance that they won't be into it, don't let that stop you from being completely honest. Be open about why cuckolding turns you on and what you hope to get out of it. Even if they're not on board, sharing your desires can open the way for other exploration and kink. Have all the information. Your partner's going to have some questions, so be prepared to answer them. Sharing an article or video on cuckolding may help some people understand why people do it. You should also be able to offer examples of how you might go about it, and offer to take it slow. You both need to consent and be comfortable for cuckolding to work. Offer to take things at their pace and continue to ensure they're still on board throughout the entire experience. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about how to find your bull of choice, how to practice cuckolding respectfully, and are there any risks to consider. But I just want to ask y'all, I set a goal to have 100 new email signups, and I share information like this and like sex positive tips and stuff like that. So my goal is to have at least 5,000 signups before this year is over, okay? Right now, I'm at 2,000 signups. Now, my goal for having 100 people this month, I probably could extend that if I'm trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the year. But I figured I'd just start off modestly. So if you're not signed up for my email list, I recommend that you click that first link that you see in the description and sign up today, where you will get free pleasure tips. And then I also have a blog where I post about things like this. I might not always feature every single blog in my emails. So you can just check out my website and read some of the blogs and stuff. But I have examples and toy suggestions and all that good stuff. So yeah, just a recommendation. Okay. Now going back to cuckolding. Thank you so much in advance for anybody who does go to sign up right now. I appreciate y'all. And I'm just working on setting goals for myself, and I love having y'all participate. It really means a lot. So thank you. All right, now back to cuckolding. How do you find the bull of choice? Whoa, before you start your search for the bull, you should probably sit down together and decide. 1, if one or both of you will choose the bull. 2, how involved will the cuck get? Pillow talk after a rendezvous, to watch, or to be a part of the action? I'm going to add also masturbating should also be talked about. Next, it's time to figure out how you'd like to go about the search. The internet is your best friend here. You can post an ad on FetLife. Oh my God, I was literally going to recommend FetLife to my friend via email. So it's so crazy to say that. We talk about FetLife with the gross demon Alex Monroe in our episode. I think it was episode 32, maybe. So yeah, check that out, because I learned a lot about FetLife. But they say you can also try an app like Tinder, or use a niche dating site like Adult Friend Finder or Local Cuckold. I've never heard of Local Cuckold, and I have seen Adult Friend Finder ads on porn when I watch it. It says your profile or listing should be clear and concise, so potential bulls know exactly what they're getting into. Make sure they're comfortable with the arrangement, all the way to how much the cuck will know or be a part of it. And how do you practice cucking responsibly? Like with any other sex act, you need good communication, consent, and respect. Once you're both open to cuckolding, you need to set clear boundaries. First with each other, and then with your bull. The same safety rules that apply for online dating or hookups apply here. Don't disclose personal information like your address or place of business. First meeting should always happen in a public place. Always have your own transportation to and from your meeting place. If going alone, make sure your partner knows where you'll be and when to expect you back. Always have condoms or other barrier methods on hand if sexual intercourse is a possibility. I'm going to also add to get tested, but they do talk about this here as well. And then it says, are there any risks to consider? Sexual contact always carries physical risks like sexually transmitted infections, also known as STIs, and pregnancy. Practice safer sex by using condoms and other barrier methods during any type of sexual contact, including oral sex. They have dental dams for that, which I'm including, dental dams. Emotional risk is something else to consider. Even if you're completely on board at the start, feelings can change at any time. One person may decide they want to stop. The cuck may begin to experience more jealousy than they bargained for, or one or both of the people hooking up could become too attached. Oh, damn. Like the bull or the cucktress. Cuckolding requires complete honesty for everyone involved every step of the way. Communicate frequently to make sure you're all still on the same page. If someone is uncomfortable or unsure, or if anything feels off, stop. Go ahead. I love this. It's, by the way, reminder, you can always take back consent even in the middle of the act in general. Where can you learn more? If you want to learn more about cuckolding, there are plenty of reading material available. And then they have some popular book suggestions, such as The Insatiable Wives, Women Who Stray, and Men Who Love Them. Another one called When Someone You Love Is Kinky, and another one called Erotic Cuckolding, The Real Guide for Couples. This was great. This is an article by Hold on. I want to give them credit. This is an article by Adrian Santos Longhurst and reviewed by somebody named Janet. Okay, I'm going to tag this. Oh my God, we're running out of time, y'all. Oh, okay, I'm not going to be able to talk about my experience on a dating show today, but this was fucking amazing. I love learning with y'all. It's not even freaking funny. And this is something that I thought I would have known about. Now I want to learn what's the difference between cuckolding and threesomes. And it seems like threesomes, you really interact a lot more physically with each other, and cuckolding, the cuckolder is sitting back and watching. And I don't know why I imagine the person like in a chair, but I'm like, you could be a cuckolder and like be on the bed, because they talked about that like as an option as well. So yeah, this is so interesting. If anybody has ever had any experiences doing cuckolding, please let me know. I think that I'm gonna start doing a thing on here where I read like Reddit, and I feel like people always have like all these interesting stories on Reddit. But yeah, I'd love to learn just all about the art of cuckolding, and what goes into it, what type of experiences people have had. I think that it's a really liberating thing, or can be really liberating. I also think that this can definitely help people who are like serial cheaters, although I do wonder what the psychology is of a cheater. There's this a YouTube channel called Jubilee, and they have this like portion of content called Middle Ground, I think, and they talk to different like opposing sides of people. So there's one where they have a group of cheaters, and then another group of people who I think have been cheated on, or maybe anti-cheaters, or who people have never cheated. I don't know, but I always wondered if cheating is like a psychological thing. Is it like a power thing? Is it like a secret thing? Like because there are people who are really serial cheaters, like they can't help it. And even when people are in non-monogamous relationships, and people are polyamorous, people think, oh, you can't get cheated on when you're in a polyamorous relationship. But that's actually not true at all. You very much so can get cheated on. And you can set boundaries, and I know some people will set boundaries to want to be completely honest with somebody, or whatever the case may be. They'll say, you can do whatever you want, but just tell me and be safe. And then their partner won't be honest, and they won't tell their partners, and they'll keep that from them. So yeah, it just makes me wonder if this is something that is a psychological thing, or what the science is behind cheating. So maybe we can talk about that in one of our future episodes. Oh, okay, let me tell y'all about my ex stalking me before we go. So I was going to dive into details until I realized that he probably listens to this podcast. And like, I personally wouldn't listen to a podcast that my ex has, because Lord only knows like what tea that would be spilled. But we'll talk about it on Patreon, and it's probably going to be on like the top tier, because this is some piping hot ass tea. For real. I'm going to post it today. But yeah, it's some crazy shit that I just learned. But I want to share something else with y'all before we go. Okay, we're going to talk about sensuality, because I told y'all that I'm working on this sensual self workbook, and I thought I wanted to be more hands-on, but because my episodes come out like bi-weekly, I figured that we can just all work on this book separately and like just check in with each other on Patreon. But I'm going to read y'all a question from the Sensual Self book that I got from Shop Sador, and it's Prompts and Practices for Getting in Touch with Your Body by Evian Whitney. And they asked the question that I think is really, really, really important. So I just wanted to talk about it with y'all before we go. And again, we're going to do check-ins on Patreon, so feel free to follow me on there. We can chat some more. And shout out to everybody who bought the book in February, and I really hope that it's been helping you, because it's definitely been helping me. Like, I think I told y'all about my epiphany I had in regards to, they told me to write down 5 words that I associated with my sexuality and how I identify and express my sexuality or myself as a sexual person. And I wrote free, sacred, unsafe, courageous, and curious. And then they had me elaborate a bit more on one of those words. And so I picked to elaborate on the word unsafe. And this is not the exercise that I was going to do with y'all today, but I just wanted to go over this too. But it says, the word I picked was unsafe, and I said, I feel like I'm exposed to predators when I explore or exude sexual energy. I feel like my sexuality makes me vulnerable, open, raw, and a little too seen, perceived. And everybody doesn't have access, but they think they do. And I feel like my no doesn't matter because I'm sex positive. That's how it's felt in the past. I know that's not true. And that makes me feel unsafe. So I just thought that was really fucking deep. And so it's like really made me think about a lot since I wrote that one paragraph out. So this book is really, really helpful. But today's question is, in a sexual context, how do you want to be touched in order to experience pleasure? How do you want to be kissed, cuddled, caressed? Write it all down and you hear the bell outside? Write it all down and allow yourself to want what you want. So for me, the very first word that came to my mind was slow. Like, I really think that my best sexual experiences have been where we've been moving slowly, touching slowly, and more so intentionally, right? Like, more so just whatever the opposite of fast is. But yeah, just slow, because I feel like then my body isn't in shock. I love slow, passionate, deep kissing. We don't even have to do open mouth kissing with tongue for me to really enjoy it. Like, just sensual, soft kisses. I think that feeling physically connected with someone, like being able to sit on someone's lap or to face them, and not feel like a disconnect, because I think that that's one of the reasons why I don't like back shots, for instance. Like, I just can't physically, like, I can't look you in your eye. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like then I have too much room to be in my head, and I'm too nervous about performing, and maybe that'll change in the future. But yeah, we'll talk more about this on Patreon. I just want to make sure that I mention this on here before we go, because yeah, I want us to dive in. But anyways, let me know what you think. Let's chat on Patreon, and don't forget to also sign up for my pleasure email tips and blogs. This has been a great episode. This has been so much fun. I really missed creating episodes, although I've been having so much fun with my interviews. Do not get me wrong. Those have been some bomb. Oh my God, y'all. Oh, yeah, just amazing. So be sure to catch up if you haven't caught up on the episodes yet. And I'm so excited to learn some more with y'all. Thank you for learning with me. Please give yourself a hug for me. And I'll see you on Patreon. Love you.